that was an environment you walked into, down as many players defensively as they were. And once they got kind of their play action game going, that's a nightmare. So that's going to be very difficult for anybody to defend. I came away thinking, I'm the Seahawks. I go, okay, Geno could go toe to toe in a shootout, and you're going to find yourself in one of those games in the postseason, if not more. And I thought with the firepower they had on offense that they were there and they were in the game. And if not for DK fumbling and maybe a missed pass interference penalty, you're really, really in the game. So I came away from that saying I don't feel any different about the Seahawks than I did going in.
Is Detroit the best team in the league?
I picked them to go to the Super Bowl on the NFC side. You know what? Who's actually playing the best right now is probably Minnesota, just in terms of offensively, they're explosive. Defensively, they're so aggressive with Flores and the way they're playing there. I mean, I don't know that they're the best team. I don't think Minnesota's the best team. But if you're saying who's playing the best on both sides, I would say I would take Minnesota from that standpoint.
I guess for me it would be both, right? It's a combination of who's playing the best and who do you think is the best based on their personnel and sort of trying to, look ahead to what they'll do in the future. I don't know, watching that Detroit game, it got real hard for me not to say that they didn't look like they're as good as any team in football right now. I was just pretty blown away by by how complete they are.
Yeah, their design on offense is excellent, and they have the personnel that matches beautifully with it. So they can smash you, and then once you start committing to the run, their play action game is lethal. They create that separation between the second and third level of the defense, and there's just these huge holes. And to take advantage of those holes, you got big time slot receiver, you got big time tight end. So they're really perfectly built on offense. Defensively, I mean, they gave up almost 400 yards to Geno, and that's not including all the pass interference penalties that you would tack on top of that. So I would say that would be the one area of concern, and it was their secondary going into the offseason. And they did a lot of focus on that in terms of the draft and even in what they did in bringing in Carlton Davis. But I worry about them a little bit against the pass.
We had a little fun an hour ago, DJ, on the show. We're giving away some Madden games with little game shows and trivia with some of our audience and listeners. We went in the Wayback Machine through the years with different things that have been done on the show. I bet you if there's one theme on this show over 15 years more than any other that Salk and I both love, whether it's the Mariners, the Seahawks, college teams, is how you build them, how this team was built. How are you going to do this just organizationally to be consistent and have a message and really, just pay off what you say you're going to do? Detroit strikes me as maybe the best in all the NFL of just being exactly who they say they're going to be. How have they done that, building that team?
Well, I think there's a lot of people that give lip service at the press conference when they get hired. We're going to be a more physical team, and we're going to win on the line of scrimmage. Well, their actions match their words. They've invested in the offensive line. They've invested in the defensive line. They got those picks right. So that's the first part of it. You go out and get physical players, and then you install a scheme that allows them to play fast and physical, and that's what they've done from that standpoint. So you've got the messaging, then you've got the acquiring, and then you've got the implementing. They've kind of nailed all three portions of that whole process. And I think there's teams, if you look at the consistent teams, if I just think about teams like Baltimore and Pittsburgh, they're there every year. They're right there every single year, and it's because they 100% know who they are. And if they ever do kind of waver off of that path, then the next thing you know, they go out and they sign Derrick Henry, and they get right back to who they were. So those teams that know exactly what they are and who they are tend to be the most consistent. I think that's across any sport.
Yes.
I don't think that's just a football thing.
This is probably a theoretical question that will never really get answered because no team would ever do this, but what do you think it would look like if a team had an elite quarterback, like an excellent quarterback, top 5 or 10 quarterback, and then drafted and spent money only on big people? Just all, like every first round pick was an offensive or defensive lineman. You only spent money up front, and then you kind of filled in around behind them with whatever you could find, late round wide receivers, running backs off the street, etc. Do you think that team would be successful, or would it be a total disaster?
I don't know that there's an answer. I see a small glimpse of it. I mean, with the Chargers, I mean, I would think we would all agree Herbert's, a top 10 quarterback for sure, however higher up you want to go on that list. But they've had to kind of rework this roster, and salary cap was a big part of that. But Keenan Allen, Mike Williams gone. You're trying to implement and develop a young guy like Ladd McConkey, who's a good player. But there's really no true, star wide receiver. They invest the first-round pick, not in Malik Neighbors, but in Joe Alt to try and double down along the line of scrimmage. They had the decision between the two wide receivers, the two edge rushers. They keep Mack and Bosa. So they've kind of gone that strategy of we're going to invest in the big people in terms of who we re-sign and who we draft. But I do think, with a great quarterback, it's easy to say they'll just elevate the play of all the talent around them and the wide receivers. I still think you need some guys that can win, particularly on third down. There's just going to be those times in a game, where you're 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, and you like to look out there and know that I've got one guy that I can count on that can win every single time.
DJ, do you think Geno can ever change the narrative? We played some sound of Cowherd this morning, and we all know that Geno's just a B player. We all know that he's just a tier 3 player. Do you think there's anything Geno can do this year? Right now, he's leading the league in yards. Right now, he's leading the league in completion percentage. Right now, he's played phenomenal ball. A couple interceptions that are on his ledger, not his fault, tipped, thrown late in the game. Do you think there's anything Geno can ever do in a season to say, nope, he actually is an A quarterback?
I think it's sadly, and the dumb thing is the guy was a first-round pick. I mean, he came into the league with bona fides. He was a first-round pick, right? Am I not?
No, he sat in the green room. Yep, the entire.
Okay. He was my top quarterback that year. So it was E.J. Manuel, right? E.J. Manuel ended up being a first.
He was the
pick.
first.
Was that draft?
Yep, 16 in Buffalo. Yep.
Yeah, that's a shame. I went and saw Geno in the at Yankee Stadium in the Pinstripe Bowl, which I didn't know. I literally went to Yankee Stadium in a snow storm and watched Geno play quarterback there. But he should have been a first-round pick. He was the best quarterback in his draft class. I would say, gosh, you have to make a deep run in the postseason. I would love to go back because it seems so long ago. But when Brady even was winning early, even when they were winning Super Bowls, just because pick 199 and he wasn't the Tom Brady we all know now, I'm sure if we went back and listened to talk radio that he wasn't getting a lot of credit for.
I was there. I was there.
Salk was on the airwaves.
I grew up in New England. I can tell you all about what that was like, and that's exactly what it was. It was that. I mean, nationally, the story was all Brady does is throw screens. Right? He never throws the ball down the field. He's a system guy. He's a game manager. He just throws these little screen passes to David Givens and Troy Brown and guys out of the backfield, and he's really just not all that good. I think if you were to listen to sports radio locally in Boston, you would have heard a lot of people that were just still mad that Belichick had gone with Brady over Bledsoe, and so that might not be like the single best way of analyzing what people were saying, but absolutely the story was system quarterback who is just a game manager and throws screen passes. It really didn't change until 2007 when Randy Moss got there.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then he has the huge year. But, I mean, I think there's a difference between people inside the league and football people and what they think of Geno and how he's played versus maybe what the perception might be elsewhere outside. What I'm getting at with where I was saying where he was picked is this wasn't somebody that's just the overachiever, someone who's got a hot stretch of games, but it's going to be one of those, good from far but far from good, and he's not going to be able to maintain it. Like, he had bona fides, he can make every throw. He's very talented. And then he wasn't in the right situations. He's found himself in the right situation, and now he's playing at a really high level. And I mean, it goes on and finishes the year leading the league in passing yards. I don't know how you can do that and say he's a B quarterback. What
comes to mind is a couple years ago when we had these conversations, he became comeback player of the year, and the only name that really came to mind was Rich Gannon. And I guess when Rich Gannon was leading the Raiders to the Super Bowl, did he ever become an A quarterback? Wasn't he the MVP? Was he the MVP of the league?
Yeah, it was MVP of the league. Yeah. So, yeah, and so that maybe that's your blueprint there.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you're Geno,
It does matter
you
because he's
care?
pissed. It does. Yeah,
You
it does.
make him
It
mad
does.
to sit bottom?
Yes, it does. It does matter, and it does matter to his people, and it does matter because you know what? I want to get paid.
Matters to his salary. Yeah,
I want to. I'm a $50 million quarterback. This is a joke that Trevor Lawrence is getting 50 and Tua's getting 50, and I'm comeback player of the year, and I'm doing this, and I'm efficient, and I'm winning games, and I had more touchdowns in the fourth quarter comebacks last year, and I'm not viewed as a $50 million quarterback.
What do you think? Do you think the Carolina Panthers would give him $50 million after this year? And maybe another 5 or 6 teams might be willing to do that? I mean, he's going to find his value whether or not Seattle wants to do it or not. Somebody's going to step up and give it to him, and he keeps playing like this.
What is talking to Daniel Jeremiah as we do every week at this time?
I think Brock just grunted right
He
there.
grunts all
Oh,
the time.
shit,
No. You know what that was, DJ? I'll tell you exactly what that was. That was not sitting on a fart or anything. That was that's going to be good sports radio topic right there. Dave Canales is in Carolina. Dave Canales was there when he was a QB coach and helped Geno become
It's
comeback
actually
player of the year.
it's the sound Brock and many other people make as soon as they see Dave Canales.
I thought
That's a handsome man.
I was
right
waiting
there.
for him to say, nah, 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 nah.
Yeah, like Master P.